Now, what I was trying to emphasize to you earlier was the basic fact that you are in that stage of your career right now, whereby you have to decide right now which step should you pursue. And in that light comes an option of civil services. So why am I harping on civil services as a profession and importance of civil services? Because please understand, and let us get one thing right. Regardless of what we do in our lives, the basic motivation in order to have or succeed in that job remains the same. After finishing up your studies, you might land up in a job in a tech sector or in an IT company whatsoever. But then your immediate physical need will be that you should have a house of your own. Maybe you should have a regular income, something to have food on your table every day, and maybe certain other luxuries that you can afford thereby, right? How long will that continue? Ask any of your friends or any of your seniors who have stayed in that sector for some period of time. You will find the job gets pretty mundane. Eventually, it is all about filling up that long Excel sheets without knowing anything about where that Excel sheet will be used and what is the utility of the work that you are doing. Is that some kind of a job that you want to end up in? Is that some kind of profession that you are yourself in? This is a question that you have to ask yourself. Where do you think you will be more utilized as a professional? Then, there are certain misconceived notions that we have that surround the civil services examination in general. First of all, and mostly this is something that is found amongst the new millennials, that is, that it is a government sector job. Government sector job is so boring, it is so mundane. What is the utility of it? And I deserve much better. I deserve to be in better places and achieving greater glory. So for those, let me first of all make it very clear. If you are going to be the next Steve Jobs or the next Elon Musk, all the way, and good luck to you guys. But then, if you are striving and if you have studied this much in your lives only to end up as a normal graduate, employed in some corner of the country, earning a regular salary, then please try and explore the avenue of civil services. Because once you explore this avenue, it is in that condition that you understand the reality of all the misconceived notions that have been passed on to you. Because only if you understand and take due attention into civil services examination as such, will you understand that it is not any government job that is out there. It is true. What is tended to be a stereotypical description of a government job, that government jobs generally tend to be boring, there is lack of competition, there is no visible growth that is there, and also you end up doing a routine job. But then we have to understand one thing. Government jobs are not a monolith. It is not as if all the government jobs are the same. One guy picking up a stick and beating the railway tracks at regular intervals is also employed by the government. And the other guy who basically heads the tourism department or is the Indian ambassador in any foreign country, that is also a government job. What do you want to do as a government job? How do you want to serve the nation? This is the opportune moment, the right time. India is rising up. And we can always help India rise up by having our own contributions, by being the civil servants, by serving the public as they are meant to be, and thereby ensuring that we become greater assets in the service of nation building. Now, regarding the misconceived notion that there is not much autonomy, there is not much competition, there is not many challenges that are there in government jobs, let me be very, very and absolutely categorically clear before you. You have to understand that one civil servant, and by civil servant here I am referring to the IAS, IPS and the IFS officers, the elite officers that are selected through the exam of UPSC. They have more management control in their hands, and they have more decision-making autonomy in their hands than any management graduate that you will come across in the private sector. At 26 to 27 years of age, you will be sitting upon a fund of hundreds of crores and managing millions of people by your decision making. Not only is this job lucrative enough for you and your family, this is a job which will ensure that you excel in the art of decision making. Is that attractive enough? If not, I will show you another perspective of this job. Now, during the recent coronavirus pandemic, here and there are various directives that are being issued. Do this, do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Who is making these decisions? Is it you or is it me? It is neither of us. It is the civil servant who is sitting there, who is entrusted with this decision by the government of India. That is the attractiveness of this job. Government of India. You are going to be a representative of the government of India. There holds no other job which can be held at the same par or at the same category as the civil services itself. It is so lucrative and it is so prestigious that oftentimes it is termed as the toughest examination that is out there. Because roughly around 10 lakh people fill in the application form while only around 700 are able to succeed in it. What is the cause behind it? The immediate understanding of why the civil services examination is held at such a high esteem is because of various contributing factors, including the fact that time and again there has been a general myth building. Now, when I talk about a myth building, this has pretty much to do with the kind of society and civilization that we are. In general, this is something that I always deliberate and I always discuss. That we are a very deliberative, we are a very consultative society in general. If you ask any person how to go from place A to B, there will be thousands of suggestions from the surrounding members as well. That why will you go from A to B via train? You should follow a bike and thereafter take a bus. Or you should board a flight and thereby reach there. Somebody else will come with another suggestion. Imagine the predicament of a candidate who thinks he can prepare for civil services. His parents, his neighbors, his relatives, everybody pools in with their own unsolicited advice. You should do this, you should do that. Civil services is such a high esteemed examination. Civil services, in the examination, it is going to ask such kind of questions. How many people were employed in Babur's army? What was the name of the chief commander of that army? What was the name of the chief executioner during the time of Aurangzeb? Different kinds of questions are floated. Why? Everything is done to add on to the myth of UPSC. And since this exam has been in vogue for quite a few number of generations, simultaneously with each generation, the myth has been built up. My approach is going to be very simple. If I decide and if I am attracted to civil services as an examination avenue, I should strike it head on. And how I strike it and how I approach it will determine whether I succeed or not. It is regardless of what kind of things that you come across on Facebook and Instagram under the heading that expected UPSC interview questions. All of them are lies. And it is farcical to even mention the type of questions that are named. So thereby, there is a myth building exercise that you have to beware of. And thereafter decide upon yourself that is it an exam that is there for me? And for that, you need an answer to the first basic question that was posed, that is civil services lucrative enough for me? And for that, again, let me strike at the very basic. See, civil services as a profession has been around for more than 200 years. And in that whole duration and in that whole time span of 200 years, the prestige of this job has not even diminished even for an iota inch. That means that it continues to find its relevance regardless of the changing scenarios. Why? Because these are the decision makers of the day. These are the guys who influence the policies of tomorrow. What are the kinds of educational institutes that you should study in? What are the kinds of post-graduation degrees that should be offered to you? What should be the educational policies that should be undertaken? All of them are taken, all these decisions, important decisions, are taken at the altar of these bureaucrats and these civil servants. That is why this job is elegant. And that is why this job is so very much sought after. Now think about it and analyze it carefully. What is it that you want in your life? And once we have shortlisted ourselves into civil services, then how to pursue it and how to approach it. As far as the exam in itself is concerned, there are certain things that we need to know as far as the examination is concerned. Let me tell you where the problem starts and where the first spark of doubt comes into being. The genesis of it lies in the fact that many of us, we see an IAS officer. We see on YouTube what an IAS officer can do. We see somewhere in the video that this is the power and this is the lucrativeness and the aura that surrounds an IAS officer. And immediately we make up our mind that we are going to appear for the examination without even exploring the details. And we fill up the form. At the end of it, we can easily shed off our hands and say that this was the examination not meant for me. This is an examination way beyond my intellectual capacity. And sometimes you are added up and with the myth building exercise that is perpetually going around you. There will be people who will tell you around you, there will be people around you, and mind you, such people are many, many, and many more. They will tell you that certain class of students only are eligible to qualify for the civil services, or students of a certain pedigree, maybe of IITs or NITs, only they are preferred in civil services. But the truth could not be farther away from this. The reality of the matter is, if I am interested in civil services, I will succeed in it. Let me cite you an example. There was this young guy from Sahibganj in Bihar, quite a backward district for that matter, right? Now, in that area, there was not much percolation of modern ways of education. Now, still, he pursued his degree. Slowly and steadily, after his school days were over, by that point of time, Jharkhand as a state was formed. It was at that point of time that that student realized what he can do, or even he asked himself what he could do in his life. And at that point of time, he chose a job which could give him a salary to feed his poor family. But as what happens with each and every job across each and every sector, within a couple of months, there was a stagnation that he achieved. There was a sense of complacency which started creeping in. And the perpetual question, why am I doing this? For whom am I doing this? Is there any benefit that will accrue to me if I do this? All these questions started creeping in. That guy, regardless of his educational background, regardless of his upbringing, he strove and aspired hard for civil services. He could not succeed the first time. And the naysayers were at his back, saying that, see, only students from IIT and only students from NITs, they could succeed in the examination. You have a normal degree. You should get up, or you will be fortunate to even land up a job of a railway gangman. Such was the amount of cacophony reverberating around him. He did not lose hope. He gave it the second time. All India rank 75. That was what he achieved. Presently, he's sitting up on a budget of 400 crores and managing a district very, very successfully in Jharkhand and navigating through the tough times of coronavirus. That is the impact of this service, and that is the impact of the dedication if you have. For the dedication and for developing an approach to civil services, the most and utmost important thing that is required is the know factor. Know your examination in detail. Know your enemy, the enemy that you are seeking to conquer. Know it in greater detail. What do you know about this examination? Are you armed enough in order to tackle this examination, or is it something that holds you back? Do you know what the examination is all about? How is it held? Do you know the syllabus of the examination? What is going to be asked? Do you know the material that is available? And do you know what are the pitfalls to avoid? This is what comprises the know factor. Now, when I talk about the fact that know about the examination, understand the requirement of the examination. What is it and which kind of candidates is UPSC searching for? So UPSC is basically trying to find, and if you read in the notification itself, it is clearly and explicitly mentioned that they are searching for an average aware graduate. They are not searching for masters of philosophy or PhD degree holders in any field. They are not searching for great servants of geography or great literature or Nobel laureate, so on and so forth. Absolutely not. They are always seeking for an average aware graduate. Are you a graduate? Yes, or you are going to be. Are you average? I don't think anybody of us here will deny that they are average, or anybody will say that they are below average. Either most of us consider ourselves above average, at least average is a maintainable standard. So yes, we are average. Yes, we are graduates. Are we aware of the things going around us? Maybe yes, maybe not. Depending upon what our approach to following things around us is. For many of us, following current affairs can be about following the news regarding who Ranbir Kapoor is dating. That is also current affairs. But is that required in the examination? Is that something which will make you an aware citizen of the country? No. For many of us, reading about political battles between two different parties forms a current affairs. But again, does that make you an aware citizenry, or does that make you a political worker? Think about it. So when we talk about an average aware citizen or an average aware graduate, we are referring to one issue only, and that is the basic crux. That is, you are aware of the surroundings around you. You are aware of what is going around you. If there is this coronavirus pandemic which is spreading like wildfire, why is it so? Is it something which can be spread by air as well, or only on touch sensation? Do I have an idea about it? That will make me more informed rather than knowing which celebrity is suffering from coronavirus and which celebrity has recovered from it. That is what we mean when we talk about knowing about the examination. The second factor, as far as the know thing is concerned, is the syllabus. Am I aware of what the syllabus is going to be? What is it that UPSC is going to ask out of me in the examination hall? Am I aware of the fact? In most of the cases, you will find the answer is a big and glaring no. And why is that so? Because sometimes we get so emotional that soon after attending this session, we will take a decision that yes, we will prepare for civil services. I am going to be the next bureaucrat that this country is going to produce. But then they have no idea what to study, what not to study. So that is why we have to be very, very sure of what the syllabus is about. What are the subjects that are being asked? And all the subjects that are being asked, you will be very surprised to know that it is mostly for 10th level NCRTs. Most of the subjects that are being asked. They revolve around 10th level NCRTs. Now, we have studied them time and again during our school days. But then, what has happened now is our approach to study itself has changed. Earlier, while undertaking studies, our approach was very different. We used to approach the chapters and try to score maximum and utmost amount of marks that we could from any particular given subject. Nowadays, and if that at that point of time, if we could not, by some means or by any standards, if we could not score marks, our parents would have given us a hefty handbook of scolding. But nowadays, the situation has changed since we have grown up. By we, I mean you and me. We have grown up. Now we understand better how to study. So what do? We take break of 5 minutes every 5 minutes. Thereby, we give precedence to the fact that there can be or there is a space for complacency which can creep up. Now, please be very clear and please try to understand the analogy that I am trying to give in front of you. During class 10th and 12th, when we had to study under the guidance of our parents, at that point of time, our performance was way better. Now, when we have to study on ourselves, our performance generally and gradually deteriorates and it decreases. Because our concentration level has gone down. Because we have failed as students regarding how to study. And we face maximum amount of trepidation into this basic question. How to study? What to study? Even if we have the basic books, we forget how to study. We knew how to study when we were in class 10th, but now since we are graduating, we are more aware, and now I am not able to study. Now I need a break after every second page that I have covered. That is why it is that the syllabus becomes more and more heftier. And that is why people often build upon that myth that civil services preparation is a 4-year course or a 5-year plan. And the approach is as wrong as it can be. We will come to it later on. But then next is what not to do. The pitfalls that people face, the general issues that people tend to follow, but they should actually not. Now, in that, the first point is preference to hard work over smart work. Now, in this regards, I always say that it is not you who is at fault. It is how we have been brought up. We have been brought up in a situation, in a setup, in a society whereby we celebrate a student who studies for 18 hours a day, but even though if he does not score well, at least he has studied 18 hours a day. On the other hand, a student who studies only 6 hours a day, he is able to score better, but then that student will always be cursed as someone who uses shortcut. So that has been persistent over a long period of time. Preference to hard work over smart work. That is a wrong approach. Even take a look at historically and civilizationally how it has been propagated that hard work is important. Take any Hindi movie that you have seen, or take into attention even the recently recast Mahabharata and Ramayana if you have seen. In Ramayana, there is this very famous anecdote of there was a need for a medicine, and Hanuman, what he did was he carried the whole mountain on himself and thereby making the medicine available. Think about it. What is that? Hard work or smart work? What do we celebrate, hard work or smart work? The answer is that we always tend to celebrate hard work. That is the approach that has to change. You have to change your basic thought process regarding how to approach any particular exam, how to approach any particular content that you have. If I have a book given in front of me, it is up to me how I utilize that book. I can go on and underline each and every line that is there in that book, or I can go about as far as selective reading is concerned, and thereby have a greater understanding and a greater amount of marks that can be expected in the examination. That is an approach that you have to develop. The second factor is toppers talk as the holy book. Now, though the point is self-explanatory, but let me elaborate on that a bit. That many a times it happens that we come across various different toppers talking about their formula and their recipe for success. But what we fail to observe is that, have you observed any topper talking about the fact that since I followed the previous topper's recipe, hence I succeeded? No. Everybody has their own strategy. Everybody has their own formula for success. Yet, what we as candidates, we often tend to do is, we immediately follow the interview or the article that we see in the newspaper. That can oftentimes be misleading. But then we choose to rely on that. And let me tell you what actually happens. I read about the interview of rank 4. If rank 4 tells me that between the duration of 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. of the day, that was the time meant for relaxation. And during that time, I use the time to rejuvenate my mind. So all the other things go in the background, and in the mindset it will come that 5 to 7 p.m. is meant for relaxation. Then I read about and listen to some other topper speaking about it. And some other topper will say that morning 11 to 1, I take rest. So 11 to 1 will again come into notice. Some will say I sleep early, some will say I rise up late. We follow and we tend to follow and pursue each and every one of these yardsticks as far as procrastination and complacency is concerned. We rarely follow what they have done, but we tend to follow all the relaxed measures, thereby ensuring that we take rest from 11 to 1, we again take rest from 5 to 7, again we sleep early, and since some toppers rise up late, we end up rising up late. On the face of it, we are following 5 different toppers, but then the reality is quite far. We are not studying anything that is out there. That is why don't consider what the toppers have said as the Holy Bible, as the holy book. Try to explore and try to find your own sweet spot. Try to explore what works for you. When can you study the most? When can you extract the most? And when I talk about changing approach regarding studies, this is what I mean by that. You have to find your own recipe for success. And the third important fact is sold for assurances. Now, many a times you will come across very glittery hoardings that are put there on the lamppost saying that assured success for civil services or assured selection in civil services interview. Now, think about it. Had they been so sure about it, wouldn't they have placed their own relatives in civil services? Wouldn't they have placed their own relatives in the bureaucracy? Why would they be so selfless that they would help you be a civil servant while they suffer the rest of their lives in penury? And on the face of it, they will also charge you exorbitant prices. So, in such conditionalities, why to trust somebody who is making fake assurances? This is again a pitfall that you have to avoid. There will be numerous Tom, Dicks and Harrys in the market who will sell you any assurance that is out there. It is one of the marketing gimmicks, one of the marketing masalas that is being sold out there. Please be very, very beware and very, very aware regarding the pitfalls. Please be very understanding that if this guy had such a sure short recipe for success, then probably I would have been in a better place, or he himself would have been in a better place. Think about it, analyze it carefully, and avoid these pitfalls. It is very important as far as this examination is concerned to understand what not to do. It is important to understand what steps can be taken and what to do, but it is equally important to understand what not to do. Because many a times, and this happens with numerous candidates year after year, they begin the preparation, and they begin the preparation with utmost amount of dedication and utmost amount of motivation that can be granted into them. But slowly and steadily, they lose their path and they lose their sight of the goal. And eventually, at the end of the year, when they realize that they are woefully short of the target that is expected out of them for the examination, they tend to make up excuses. That this is an examination which is quite tough. I will stand and appear for state services. I will try for grade B, so on and so forth. If you are trying to venture into space, why not directly aim for the moon? If you are trying for civil services, why not directly try for Union Public Service Commission rather than any state service commission that is out there? Why not enrich your lives and the lives of your immediate family and the society that you are living in? Why not be a part of the decision-making activity whereby you can ensure that millions of people are uplifted and ameliorated out of poverty? Why not take a measure or take a step ensuring that youth of the country find a quality education? That is the issue that you should ask yourself. Do not simply overindulge yourself. Try and carefully analyze your steps and analyze your measures before taking any particular leap. Now, as far as knowing the examination is concerned, this examination is constituted and taken and conducted in 3 different stages. The first stage is the prelims. Now, the preliminary examination is basically the MCQs, multiple choice questions, right? After that, you have the mains examination. Now, the mains examination is a subjective part of the examination, whereby you have to write your answers and your answers will be evaluated, and thereafter you will be declared a successful candidate or an unsuccessful candidate. If you succeed in both of them, eventually after that, it is when you have to face the interview, or what we call as the personality test. Now, this personality test is to judge how calm you are under woefully difficult circumstances. It is to judge your mental stability. It is to judge your demeanor, your persona, and the gravitas that you as an individual carry. Because you are expected to serve the country. You are trying and appearing for civil services. And you are expected to be steadfast in your approach for a long, long time to come. So that is why you have this interview. Now, think about it in another fashion again. And this is what civil services will challenge you time and time again, to think about different issues from a different perspective. So, civil services or UPSC in general could have conducted all these 3 exams in a very short duration of time. But it takes roughly around 12 to 13 months for the process to be completed. Why is it so? After all, UPSC is a constitutional body with all the power that it has. Then why is it that civil services are extended to such a long duration of 13 or 12 months, whereby candidates are judged time and again? This is to judge one basic characteristic and one basic personality trait in a candidate, and that is discipline. Now, discipline can be charted out and can be interpreted in various different ways. How disciplined we are is also dependent upon how steady our mindset is. UPSC basically checks your discipline, whether you are able to continue the motivation that you have for the duration of 12 months, for the duration of 13 months during which this examination is conducted. And it is very, very important to remain motivated for the whole time. And for the whole time, you have to keep your eye on the prize. You have to always keep on reminding yourself, what is it that you are striving for? What will happen if you succeed in this examination? What is it that the other side holds for you? It is the brief trepidation of struggle during the time of preparation, due to which most of us let go of our dreams. But we have to understand that this duration at the time of examination and at the time of preparation of this examination, the duress that we face helps us become a more mature individual, a more understanding individual, an individual whose imagination is broadened in such a way that he can look at a particular problem from many different multitudes, and so that he develops a problem-solving ability. So keep your eye on the goal and constantly keep on asking yourself whether you are on the right path, whether you are still pursuing that goal, or whether you are just keeping it as another hobby. So for that, you have to be very, very clear. Because please understand, out of the 10 lakh people who fill the form, only around 4 or 4.5 lakh, they appear or even sit for the examination. The question that you will ask is, what do the rest of the people do? Well, they're not interested in the examination. They might have filled the form because it would have been the talk of the town that look at the neighbor's child. He has filled the UPSC form. That in itself is so lucrative for them. Then think about what the job might behold. And they don't fill the form and they don't appear for the examination. And there are, out of the 4.5 lakh who sit in the examination, roughly around only 50 to 60,000 are the students who are careful and meticulous in their approach. For rest of them, again, it's a hobby. That if my parent asks me that, what are you doing with your life? I will simply say, I am preparing for civil services. Again, on the face of it, it sounds very lucrative. And again, they are always and pertinently searching for any job avenue that is available to them. So be very steadfast regarding what you are trying to approach. Know your competition. Know the enemy before you, and know the various challenges that are held before you. Only then will you be able to make your mark felt in this examination. Now, as far as this examination in greater detail is concerned, the preliminary examination, that is the multiple choice questions that are put forth before you, they will be divided into 2 different papers. One will be for general studies, one will be for an aptitude test, or what is referred to as CSAT, or Civil Services Aptitude Test. And out of that, you have to qualify depending upon the cutoff marks. Cutoff marks is generally around 50%, 50-55%. Again, think about it. Study material is class 10th level. The marks that I have to aim for is 55%. Still, I say it is very difficult. In class 10th, study material was the same. The marks that was expected out of me, 95%. And at that point of time, I succeeded. But now, I say that I can't succeed. Why is it so? Again, because our approach has changed. Because we are no longer enthusiastic to study. And we always find certain shortcuts and certain excuses about not, or about any factor which can prevent us from studying in greater detail. Now, once we qualify in this preliminary examination, after that, the next exam that we face is the mains exam. Now, it is the mains exam which truly judges your character and the caliber and the stamina and the persona that you exhibit. What do I mean when I say that? Look at the number of tests that are held. It is held over a duration of a long period of over a week. And during that, you will be faced with general studies paper, as well as essay paper, as well as language paper, as well as an optional paper. And you are expected to write roughly around 4,000 words per subject in the brief duration of 3 hours itself. Now, it is how calm you are and how easy you are as far as approach to any issue is concerned that will determine whether you succeed in the mains examination or not. It is not as if the questions are out of this world or the questions are of a postgraduate level or a doctorate level. No, questions are quite straightforward and quite simple and an application of what you have studied. It is true, the questions won't be of class 10th level. But then it is also true, the questions will be from what you have read in class 10th level. So how we make use of this mains examination across the list of different papers is what will determine whether we succeed or not. And along with that, we have a list of optional subjects from agriculture, botany, chemistry, civil engineering to geography, geology, and so on and so forth. The list is virtually endless. We have to take one optional subject. And how to choose an optional subject? That is again something that many of us face difficulty in. What to approach, how to approach. It is okay for someone to decide, I will prepare for civil services. But then it is equally easy for someone to drop out midway. Because many a times it happens that I thought civil services is all about reading newspapers. I read newspapers every day morning. I wake up and I open Times of India, and still my current affairs is not improving, and I have to study this subject as well. See, the approach in itself is wrong. When we talk about current affairs, we are talking about yourself being aware of the scenario around you. Unless and until we are aware of the very basic concepts around us. Like recently, Cyclone Ampan wreaked havoc in many parts of the state. Now, unless and until I understand in greater detail that why is it that Cyclone Ampan occurred, unless and until I understand in greater detail that it is absolutely possible that there will be multiple cyclonic events to be followed in this year, unless and until I understand the issues that people of a place will face if they are faced with the devastating cyclone again, how am I expected to solve their issues when I become a civil servant? So for those matters, we have to be very careful about how we study and what we study. The approach has to change. Time and again, I will reiterate that we have to learn how to learn better and how to learn in a sharper way. Now, out of these, there are numerous subjects that are out there. Now, many a times, what is the approach that students take is that, see, one of my senior had taken that optional, I will also take that optional. But that approach is wrong. You have to understand that while choosing an optional, you should have the ability to enjoy what you are reading. You should have the availability of guidance with you as well as the availability of content material. Now, when I say ability to enjoy, you will be able to associate with it very, very carefully and very, very succinctly. Now think about it. Any novel that you would have read maybe in class 4th or 5th or even 6th standard, there is a high probability that you remember the crux of it. Now immediately if I ask you, do you remember what you studied in class 8 science or do you remember what you studied in class 8 geography? The answer will plainly and blankly be a big no, that I have no clue. I do not remember at all because we do not enjoy what we study. And that is where the issue lies. And that is where most people oftentimes lose their motivation to study. They say that I want to be a civil servant, but then I don't have the motivation to study. And here comes my counterpoint. Why is it that somebody won't be interested in knowing your own country? What we study for civil services is not about knowing the history and geography of Russia or knowing about the political details of Tanzania or what is going on in Malawi right now. No. What UPSC asks out of you is whether you understand your country in a proper way. And again, understanding your country is not something you can do on Facebook or Instagram. You need to study about it. And it is from there that a sense of curiosity will strike. That if this happened in history, if our own history and if our own cultural tradition is so huge, so immense, it goes back and dates back thousands of years. then why is it that our societal structure is in such a way? If our country is placed in a particular geographical location, does it mean it is good for the country? Or does it mean that the farming will always be dependent on the rainfall unless and until we take some concrete steps and concrete measures? Be curious about your country. Be curious about your state, the state that you are living in, the area around you. Why is something happening? Follow the news that you can. Think about the various possibilities that arise out of the news, and that will keep you involved and that will help you enjoy it. Now, regarding the issue of COVID, and during these times when we all are stuck in the lockdown, and this strict lockdown which is enforced almost across the whole part of the country, how do we maintain our interest even during those times? So let me give you a brief example. We know for a fact that currently India and China are embroiled over a dispute over line of actual control. We know for a fact that there are different countries who are taking steps to stop Chinese tech giants from spreading their legs. We know for a fact that as of today, climate change is one of the biggest and harshest realities that face before us. We know for a fact that unless and until we take care of our healthcare system, unless and until we take care of our hospitals, then more and more bodies will pile up due to these pandemics that will keep on coming again and again. Now, if we are interested in these, then even during this lockdown phase, we will find various articles, various news pieces, various motivational pieces in order to keep ourselves on track as far as how to take or how to study. Now, if we lose motivation, if we lose track of our goal, it is very easy to digress, and that is what we have to prevent ourselves from. Now, the final stage of the examination that will be before you, that is the personality test. Now, during personality test, mind you, it is your own inner self that is being judged. Your knowledge is no longer being tested because your knowledge has already been tested in the prelims and the mains examination. The interview does not want to know, or the interviewer and the panel in general has no interest in knowing whether you know about who the Prime Minister and President of Kazakhstan is. No. There are certain questions which are floated before you, despite the fact that they are aware that you as candidate won't be aware of it. But it is floated before you just to check how easily are you able to tackle these questions. How easily are you able to circumvent the traps and tricks that are laid before you? That will determine how successful you are in the personality test. Now, regarding the issue of how we can help and what is it that we can ensure from our end so that you remain dedicated and you remain focused for your preparation. So, we at Byjus, we believe in the latest adaptation of technology in order to make your preparation much more easier. During this lockdown period, while the whole country is suffering, we are ensuring that quality education material and videos taken by some of the best faculties in the country is made available to you. Now, due to that, we offer a wide arena of services at your disposal. We have a tablet course as well. And along with that, we have live classes that are also being held. What is a tablet course and what is a live class? In the tablet course, you will find a detailed lecture and a detailed coverage of each and every subject that is out there, of each and every topic in every subject that is out there, and also a discussion of the previous year questions that is out there. Along with that, you shall be supplied with a host of other services like frequent current affairs webinars, like frequent updation regarding any relevant issue going around in the world, regarding the subject materials, the books that will form the basic DNA of your preparation strategy. All these will be in the tablet course. As far as the live classes are concerned, so in that, we conduct live classes again. Some of the best faculty in the country, they address the live class, and thereby the students, they get a freedom to ask any type of questions that they can. Again, by any type of questions, I mean questions relevant to the subject. Even the best faculty of the class will not be able to answer who Ranbir Kapoor is dating. So you are open to ask any type of question that you can. You are open to ask any type of conceptual clarity that you can, and thereby ensure that you have a comprehensive preparation that is undertaken. Now let me address the final issue before taking up your questions. Now, regarding these times of lockdown, how to keep yourself focused. Many a times and persistently in these times, it is very important for us to maintain a mental balance and also to keep an eye on the goal. For that, what you can do is follow the news. Follow the news in a considerable detail. If the currency is depreciating, if the currency is appreciating, if India's trade war with China is taking a new dimension, what the line of actual control is, what is the relationship between US, China, what is it that Australia has taken as a measure as a counteract to China. All these international events, all these domestic events regarding coronavirus, what could have been done, what can be done. Understand it. And thereafter, after reading these news, analyze the news. Analysis is very, very important. Unless and until we analyze what we have studied, unless and until we explore all the possibilities that are beholden before us, till that point of time, we will never be able to explain ourselves or our point of view. So during these times of lockdown, when you are stuck in your own houses, it is very, very important to maintain your focus. Keep on covering the news. Slowly and steadily, everything will start to make sense. On the initial days and in the initial front, you will find certain amount of difficulty covering the news in itself. And for that matter, I will tell you that if you are reading the news, always do it from a standard newspaper. Don't be patrons of Punjab Kesari and Times of India. These kind of newspapers won't do any good for you or for anybody who is trying to prepare for any examination that is out there. So get hold of certain good newspapers and go through them on an everyday basis. You will find not only is your reading ability improving, but also slowly and steadily you will reach a state within a span of 1 month that you will be able to deliver and even predict the news cycle that is going to follow. And that will always an envious stage for your competitors. So try and gain an advantage over your competition in this stage. Do not delay or procrastinate the preparation measures. Many a time students say that I am interested in civil services, but I will prepare for it after a particular point of time. Please mark my words. There won't come a time when suddenly all the bells will start ringing and suddenly there will be a huge announcement that this guy will now start preparing. No. You have to start preparation as soon as you can. And it is only due to that and only after that, that slowly and steadily you will be able to climb that mountain that is civil services. And at the end of it, it is where you will succeed. And all the meanwhile, please be very, very sure that you have a credible guidance available to you. Because As important as it is to know what to study in UPSC, it is equally important for us to know what are the traps that we should avoid. Many a times that it happens that while studying about or while reading about any news article, I come across a terminology which does not make sense at all. How do I approach it after that? Or what is the process that I follow after that? So in that aspect, guidance is very, very important. We at Byjus realize this importance, and that is why we have a very dedicated mentorship program lined up before you guys. Now, this mentorship program is primarily aimed for the students who really, really want to succeed. They are given their own personal mentors who can advise them regarding the targets that they need to cover within a month, regarding if the pace of preparation is something which is working or can be improved on, regarding the various nuances of a subject that they might face difficulty on, regarding any development in current affairs or any change in syllabus or any notification of civil services that is of relevance. All these factors together will come into play and will paint a beautiful comprehensive picture when you succeed in the merit list. And that shall be what we should all strive and what we aspire for. Okay, so that shall be all for my side. Hope you have certain questions and I shall be addressing those questions as we go now. Okay, so keep your questions coming.